Hi, everyone, and welcome to our new podcast, The Light Castle Live, where we bring you up close and personal conversations with industry experts and notable changemakers making an impact in Bangladesh. I'm your host, Ryla, and today we will kick off our brand new podcast by exploring Bangladesh's vibrant startup ecosystem. Joining us today is Sadia Haq. Sadia Appa is the CEO and co-founder of Sharetrip, which is a startup that is revolutionizing the travel industry in Bangladesh. Sadia Appa, so happy to have you as our very first guest on our new podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing? How has your day been?
I'm doing really well, actually. Was looking really forward to this session because I heard that this is something new that you're starting. And it gives me immense pleasure as well as honor, to be part of the initiation of something that is so closely associated with Light Castle Partners. So really happy to be on board.
So honored to have you here. If you are comfortable, we can get started on the questions.
Anytime.
My first question is, what was your inspiration for starting Sharetrip?
If I talk about inspiration, it came more from our own passion and hobby. So when I started working after graduation, when I started working for corporates, starting my own career, that is when we had, like my husband and I, we had this passion of, we will be visiting as many countries of the world, on a limited budget, looking into the low cost carriers and everything. So we have seen that the more we are traveling, the more we are getting, inclined to visit to new destinations, explore new adventures, starting from deep sea diving to skydiving to seawater walking, parasailing, paragliding. We literally did everything that our body and our mental health could support. So I think that was mainly the gist of what worked behind, starting up our own travel tech platform. Yeah.
That's amazing. I have to ask, what was the most adventurous thing you've tried during travel?
If you're talking about, special sports water activities, I would say that skydiving was the most exhilarating experience for me. I did that back in Dallas, USA. So, and it was winter. So as soon as we dove with the instructor, like I could literally feel, the icicle particles just blowing into my face. And it was hurting my face, but at the same time, the experience itself, it was around almost 40 seconds of free fall. And then there was the parachute. So 40 seconds, you're just falling with zero gravitational pull. So it was amazing. It was amazing. So yeah, I would say that that's the most attractive ones I had done.
That's definitely on my travel list. I also wanted to ask, what is your travel style generally, and what's your favorite travel destination that you've been to so far?
My travel style has changed, basically. Previously, like before I had my kids, it was more like, I want to do as many destinations as possible. Right from the morning, just eat your breakfast and then go out for the entire day, visit places, eat outside, no rest, just take a stroll on yourself, doing as many things and as much possible. But once I had my daughters, the perspective changed. It's like the daughters came into more of a priority, like scheduling according to their needs or to their preferences, going more from jumping like an hop off service. Now I'm more kind of organized in, okay, we're going to schedule a couple of hours here, then come back to the hotel, relax a bit, then go out again, have dinner. So it's kind of a very easy and relaxing model that we follow right now, especially for the kids. And if I'm talking about destination, that any place that I specifically, enjoy or I thrive going there again and again, that is Maldives for me. It's amazing. They spoil you, they pamper you. It's just like you're out of this world and you're the center of everything. So the finesse that they have over this service quality that they have, it literally amazes me, So yeah, I would say for sure.
I've never been.
You say I'm going to be on the plane to go there.
I've never been, but I've seen pictures and it looks gorgeous.
It is
So I'm
beautiful.
sure.
It is beautiful. Like the scenic beauty is there, but at the same time, like while you're watching the waters, it's the deep blue, light blue, turquoise, water activities are there. But at the same time, that the experience that the resorts give you, it mesmerizes you. It takes you completely out of your own comfort zone into a new horizon altogether. So yeah, I would say that it's amazing.
I'll put that on my bucket list.
You should.
Coming back to a little bit to your journey as a startup founder, how did you develop Sharetrip's story, and what elements do you think make a story compelling when you are presenting to potential investors?
Well, if I'm talking about the background of Sharetrip, basically, Sharetrip was originated back in 2014 as an offline travel agency named Tour Booking Bangladesh, right? So while we started working on Tour Booking Bangladesh, but we really did not want to run an offline agency because we wanted something, that would kind of escalate. For now, we say that we want to revolutionize the travel industry, but 5 years or 6 years back, we did not have that notion that we want to revolutionize the travel industry, but we wanted something that is, within the reach and the capacity of the people, which brings them more convenience. And while you're working with convenience, the thing that works hand in hand is the technology. Right. So our thought process was something that we are going to make something, a single platform where, you can get all types of travel services, solutions, all your travel needs, everything will be catered under one single platform. So that was a vision that we had when we started, working in the travel ecosystem. And I think that vision clicked more with our investors, and because of that vision, because we did not really have a fantastic and a dynamic technology developed back at that stage, but it was the vision and how we want to leverage on that vision with the use of which platforms, whether we are catering to a larger audience or a segmented audience, whether we are planning to use any kind of technological assets, because we have been reaching out to multiple DMCs, tour operators, airlines, looking for their connectivity, direct connectivity, or through via aggregators and everything. So that potential base of moving things forward in a new dimension, which is predominantly a very stereotyped and old school industry, was something that created a very strong interest of our investors, right? And from that point onwards, by the grace of God and Allah, I would say that, things have looked up, because we have been able to manage not only our investors' expectations, but at the same time that we have been able to create significant improvement areas, differences in mindset, differences in opinions in the travel ecosystem itself. So online platforms coming into Bangladesh was itself a very challenging thing. 4 years down the line, we are very strongly accepted with a lot of credibility, with a lot of good reputation. So I think that our hard work has paid off.
That's amazing. Do you have like a specific memory or a specific moment where you felt like, okay, this is exactly why I started this. This is
I think the first thing that was kind of the eye-opener for us was when we launched Sharetrip back in 2019. So we had a very grand event, inviting all our industry partners, airline partners, just to announce the official launch of Sharetrip as an online travel partner, right? But although that created a lot of good buzz, but when we saw the first transaction happening over our web and app, like it was, I think it was a 15,000 taka ticket, but the thing was like, it was like you have received something extremely momentous, a prize from the Prime Minister, or from Queen Elizabeth or something of that sort. Like it was that big, because we were looking into our back end panel and just looking into it, that when the first transaction is going to happen. So when that happened, the first ticket issued from our platform, that was it for us. There was no turning back. We knew that, okay, we have done the hard rock. we have passed that phase. We know it works, most importantly, and now it's time to move forward.
Oh, that's such a sweet memory. I love that. Um, I know that you've talked about this a little bit previously, but I know that COVID-19, especially during the lockdowns, it was kind of game changer specifically for the travel and tourism industry because we had so many lockdowns and there was no traveling happening around the world. So, how did you navigate this from Sharetrip, and what were your key takeaways from that experience?
I think one of the core things that COVID has taught us during that terrible time is that how willing you are to change, to adapt, and to look into new opportunities and to new potential areas, right? So when Sharetrip actually initiated, we were serving only our direct customers, the B2C customers that we talk about, right? Like the mass people who are logging into our website or our app and then, transacting or using the travel services that we are providing for them. But what happened was that with COVID, everything went into a complete shutdown. There was no way for any individual travelers to move out for the benefit of luxury, their own relaxation. So tourism was completely it wasn't even a zero. It was a negative point at that point of time, I would say. But what we saw out there was that, there are thousands of offline agencies, travel agencies, who are dependent on other offline travel agencies, the bigger players in the market, and they take support from them, right? Mainly for ticketing services. And this was one area that we had not tapped in before that. So what happened with COVID is that within a mere 4 months, we developed, since we have our local tech team, and it's a team of almost 40 plus members. So we could leverage, the assets and the resources that we have and customize accordingly. So within a mere 4 months, we introduced our B2B platform, which we started reaching out to the offline agents. And it was so easy to convert them from an offline perspective to an online perspective, even the most critical and the most challenged ones, whether they're technologically challenged or information-wise challenged, or they're not willing to make any kind of changes. But since they did not have any other option to take the service, and they needed to, move on the people who were stuck here in Bangladesh and needed to move out to Middle Eastern countries, ASEAN countries, the European zones and everything. I think that was kind of, I have mentioned this multiple times, like COVID was kind of a blessing for us in disguise, especially for Sharetrip, because we could transform the industry in ways and so easily that would have been very challenging if COVID was not there. So since there was a crisis and since there was a solution of how to tackle the crisis, it was easier to convert all these offline mindseted people into the online platform, right? Apart from that, what we did was that we saw that there is another opportunity for we thought that, while we are looking into the offline agents of Bangladesh, there is this domestic tourism also that is unexplored and untapped. Because whenever you're talking about tourism or whenever you're talking about traveling, the first thing that comes to your mind is that whether I'm going to go to Thailand, Paris, India, but it does not come to your mind that I want to travel to Cox's Bazar, Sylhet, Rangamati, Khagrachari, and even, the neighboring areas like Gazipur, Rajendrapur, etc. So, and there are so many hotels, so many resorts, so many inns, cottages that are taking place, but they do not have any centralized system to kind of increase their accessibility to the larger audience or to the larger population of Bangladesh, right? So within that COVID period of time, we first introduced the B2B platform, and then we introduced our ST Rooms platform, which is the domestic hotel inventory management system that we have developed in-house. So that was another key aspects that we kind of worked on, right? Educating, the local hotels, the resorts, the hoteliers, the property owners, showcasing them that how they can, place all their inventory into one single panel and get exposed to such a big audience where anyone and everyone has that accessibility to see whether an inventory in Cox's Bazar Hotel is live in our platforms. So we're still in the educational phase, I would say, because there's a lot of limitations, a lot of gap of understanding, information flow, internet penetration capacity and everything, resource wise, enhancement in technological handling. But at the end of the day, we are seeing a lot of positive support from them as well. So things are changing up, and we are very hopeful that, in the coming days, it's going to look up more promising for sure.
I love that at the heart of your success really is just your commitment to highlighting Bangladesh and highlighting really the people, even at like small inn owners in Rangamati or Kagachir, like you said. So
right, because whenever you're talking about, even if it's startups or big giants or FMCGs, MNCs, whichever company you're talking about or whichever brand you're talking about, whenever you're doing a business case, for example, or whenever you are doing a case study on someone, it's always the international brands or the global names that come into your mind first, right? Yeah. We know that Bangladesh has, huge capacity to, advance in so many ways. And with the ways that we have been progressing in starting from our GDP to the education rate, literacy rate, then our internet penetration, the smartphone users' accessibility, everything shows that we are on the right track and the right path to beat any other advanced level country, just with the right amount of guidance and the right amount of incentives and motivation, right? So this is where Sharetrip wants to play a very major part, that whenever we are talking about traveling specifically, we just do not want the names of Make My Trip, Agoda, Booking.com coming into the minds of the people, but we want a local name to create that same amount of impact, global impact that all the other global giants have. So that's our main motivation to move forward, our main inspiration to go really strong in the upcoming days.
Yeah, that's so inspirational. And I feel like for success for a Bangladeshi startup, I think having Bangladesh in its DNA is one of the keys.
True.
So, yeah. I wanted to shift a little bit to your personal journey as an entrepreneur, particularly from a gender lens. We don't see a lot of women founders or women co-founders in the startup scene in Bangladesh. The startup scene itself is quite, it's still growing. True. So in even then, we see a very big gender disparity. And that's also particularly why I was so excited to have you as our first guest, by the way. But I wanted to hear a little bit about your experience as a female co-founder in Bangladesh. What has your experience been like? Have there been any obstacles that you faced? Anything that really surprised you? Also, any advice that you would give?
I think there are differences in terms of perspective while I'm talking about the ecosystem that you're kind of operating in, or the industry that you're operating in, because that makes a very big difference in terms of your acceptability as a woman in the industry or in the ecosystem. Especially for tech-led companies, you will see that, as you said, that they're the number of women in the leadership role or in the decision-making role is you can count by your fingers. It's very minimal at this point of time. So this is kind of, there has to be a change in perspective, because in a societal level, the way we are built up, specifically in the previous generations, it was always that the men will take the front seat and then the women follow them in terms of whether you're making the decisions at your home, your office, your own business, whatever it is. But I think that perspective is changing in the sense that now if you look into especially the startup ecosystem, although some of the giants companies or the established ones, you'll see that okay, there's still few number of women-led startups or women-led companies. But if you just trickle down a little bit on the down below the pipeline, you'll see that a lot of the ideas or a lot of the areas are actually being covered by women, especially if you're talking about healthcare, edutech, if you're talking about hunger management, agriculture. Those are the core areas where Bangladesh needs to kind of prioritize on and focus on. So I would say that things again are looking, quite promising, but we still have such a long way to go. The first objective should be, to develop something concrete, to build that sustainability of that program, whether it's your own business or whether it's your own software, whether it's your own technology or even your idea. But I think a common misrepresentation within the founders or within the entrepreneurs that we talk about is that we all want to take, larger leaps in terms of our execution, which I think is a wrong strategy. Because whenever you are starting up your own, even if it's your own entrepreneurship, your own area of expertise, but the way I think of how my business will work versus the way the market really works, or the way that external variable factors really play a role into the performance of your business or the sustainability of your business, that takes kind of your your awareness about the entire ecosystem. It takes about your knowledge, how much of the ideas and how much of the information that you're disseminating and you're gathering from all around you. So if you're considering all these factors, then it's easier to start up your own whether it's a startup or it's a small scale business or an SME, it's quite easy to start that up. The challenge comes, in terms of decision making, whether women are capable enough to take the roles in, stronger decision making or strategic level planning at that point of time. I would say that we really have that capacity. We have very good, valuable resources. We have seen great examples. If you look into the local giants like FMCGs, telcos, there are great women leading the stronger business units of those organizations or of those companies. That means that it's not that we are not capable enough to lead the show or to run the show. We just need to be more vocal about, that we want that space, and we have earned that. It's not something that just because I'm a female, I'm being granted over that space. It's because I have earned and I have the same capacity and the same capability as like any other person, whether it's a male or a female, to run the show at that point of time. So that takes the courage, the credibility, or the mindset of yours to take on the challenges and to move forward is one of the key areas that we are kind of still a bit shy about. But with the right guidance, a lot of banks are coming up with women banking. A lot of educational programs are focusing on women to, extend their horizons, extend their periphery into their own core concerns and with the associated areas. So all these things are actually making quite a big difference. Again, it's not going to happen overnight, but we have to be quite, focused in terms of penetrating into those areas. So if we are moving onward with a focused, detailed attention, things are going to look up for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said, confidence and having that, building that credibility is really how you penetrate these currently male-dominated spaces in our society currently. Just to kind of pivot off of that, and I think this is one of our last questions because I think we've covered most of the time. But as a CEO, what leadership principles do you personally follow, and how do you lead your team at Sharetrip?
The thing that I believe is first and foremost to have an open door policy, because usually what happens is that we are stereotyped in a way that when we know that, okay, if there's a senior management or a CEO or, a C-suite, anyone, or a senior manager even, you need to have permission and you need to kind of bow down always while you're talking to them. And it's always a top-down approach. I don't believe in that, very frankly speaking, because I believe that, although I'm thinking about my business or about Sharetrip from a very holistic point of view, but when individual team members are working towards the same vision as us, they are usually more creative. They are usually more motivated to make their point and create a point of interest for the company, to be recognized as someone who is critical to take the company to a newer level or to a advanced level. So that is one of my core principle philosophies in my leadership skill, that I believe in an open door policy. I believe in being transparent, because you can have decision makings, you can have business strategies that you want to entail within yourselves, but at the end of the time, your strategy, your decision making will not be executed unless and until your team member also has or also shares the same amount of philosophy or also shares the same vision as you are envisioning, right? So that is one thing that I very strongly follow, that it's a very transparent ecosystem that we have within our team members. The engagement that we have, yes, you do need to have some kind of boundaries in terms of to what extent you can take advantage over your superiors, or you can how far you can just bypass or pivot to your own core job responsibilities and everything. But at the same time, that if you are giving your employees that importance, if you're giving your assets, the resources that you have, the confidence that you believe in themselves, and they're critical for you and for your company, they also start owning the company, they also start owning the brand. Right? And it makes the pathway a lot more smoother, and the executions a lot better in terms of what we want to achieve, and a lot faster, I would say so.
Right, that people first mindset. Yeah, completely agree. I think our last question for today would be, what are your plans for Sharetrip's future, particularly? Where do you see yourself leading Sharetrip next?
I think one of the core things that I've said before is that we want to create a big name. I mean, I'm a big position in the global arena for Sharetrip. It's not just a local startup. It's not just an OTA in Bangladesh, but we want to set that global footprint for the travel ecosystem. That's one thing that we're chasing right now. And secondly is that there are a lot of opportunities in the travel ecosystem in Bangladesh that are still untapped. A lot of white spaces are there that are still unexplored. We really want, to penetrate into those areas to change the landscape, because whenever you're talking about economic growth or an industrial development or an ecosystem development, it has to be any one single player will not be able to change the entire industry or the overall capacity of any nation. It has to be of a more holistic and a more, overall very structured and a very cumulative effort that needs to be taken. And we believe that, if Sharetrip is working, for example, we received the fund from Startup Bangladesh, the VC of ICT division. So I think that those are the key areas that we want to take leverage on, because they are kind of in the decision-making centers, in the strategic planning of the nation of how the ICT division is going to move forward. And if you look into all the digital aspects of Bangladesh, the changes that are taking place, you'll see that we are talking about a lot of things. We are executing a lot of things, but a change in the policy level, a change in the regulatory bodies, those things are not coming into light as fast as the developments in the execution level are taking place, right? So that's another area that we want to kind of leverage. We want the travel industry of Bangladesh to, create the shining space or be the shining star of Bangladesh in a nutshell. All right. And if we are aiming and hitting all the right points in the right approach with the right partners, it is possible, but you need to be really patient while you're moving forward with those. So that's the end goal for Sharetrip, I would say.
I think the entire time talking to you, I think what has really comes across strongly is how important it is to have a vision for your startup and move towards that vision in a very strategic manner. Thank you, Salyaba. That this was wonderful. I'm so happy to have
very
you
nice talking to you, Aida, and thank you for making me so comfortable.
I'm so glad we could do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is Light Castle Live, and we will see you in the next episode.